Hello again, everybody. This is Derek, aka Mr. Everything, and I am coming back at you with some more Harn material. Now, I am working on Harn and building up my Harn campaign in Roll 20. So we are in the middle of character creation, and so this video is the second video of creating a character called the Knight of Caldor. He is going to be an NPC that players might interact with or team up with, or he might wind up being a squire or a knight that they squire on, or who knows what, right? That's irrelevant. It's basically, I'm just making a generic knight character. I'm using the base rules, 3d6, not any not point buys, and I'm not using the 3d6 drop 46 drop the lowest one, because this is not a player, this is an NPC, so I'm not giving him any beneficial treatments. Now, if you want to see what I've created so far and how we created it, go back a video and watch, and then you will see how we got all these stats together and all these other modifiers. Now, we're using Harnmaster as our set of rules for our new Harn campaign, which will probably be coming out in May, June timeframe, is what I'm kind of aiming for. All right, so this is a continuation, and like in the other video, I mentioned that this character creation is going to take much longer than it would at the tabletop or if you were making a character on the screen, because I'm taking time to commentate on why I'm making certain decisions and why the rules allow you to do certain things. I'm also commentating on rules that I'm not using and that or modifiers that I'm not using for this character, just because they are in character creation. So I want you to have the opportunity to see that. I'm going to try to break these videos down into 1-hour segments so that you can take them in bite-sized chunks. Okay, so we've already gotten through about 22 pages of the Harn book. Okay, so I don't know. This PDF reader in Roll20 is not friendly. But at least it doesn't close when I click on something else. When I have my normal PDF reader up and I click on something else, you can see it disappears. Okay, but the one in Roll20 is built to be and work with Roll20. And that is what we're doing. We're using the Roll20 virtual tabletop. And so if you use Roll20, this is the character sheet I've decided to use. There are two. The other one is a good character sheet. It's just laid out differently than I personally like. And also, I recommend bringing up a calculator. And what I did was I took my Windows calculator and I just docked it to my browser so that it's out of the way and it's convenient. I know where it is, and then I can just use it. So in character creation, specifically skills, you're going to really need this calculator. This first part of the character creation, you don't really need the calculator, but in the skills part, you're going to really need the calculator, because every skill takes the average of 3 stats. And so you have to add these 3 stats together and divide by 3. And you can do it in Roll20 as well. You could, but the calculator just makes it easier for me. Okay, so we are on... I went too far? I don't know what I did. Okay, we just finished piety. We're going into occupation. So occupation, you personally, now remember that this occupation role is what you did previously up to the point where you start role playing in your Game Master's campaign. So, what did you do? Were you a jeweler? Were you a craftsman of some kind? Were you a prostitute? You know, what kind of job did you have? And uh, one of the things you do is you roll parent occupation to see what kind of family you came from. So your parents might have been farmers, and then you choose your occupation based on your social class. And uh, if you choose the same occupation as your parents, like you go into your family business, then you will learn all of the skills from the family business. Where if you choose to pick a different occupation, you will still earn uh, a skill from your parents. It just will be a lot lower. Okay, so let's talk about occupations. Okay, that's what we are doing, and it will depend mainly on your social class. And then you have parent occupation, so you randomly generate on the occupation table uh, based on your social class. This is the occupation of the parents. Players follow the same occupation or choose another at the GM's discretion. The eldest born survivor, especially if a favorite, would be expected to follow the family occupation. Now you'll notice that I am eldest and I'm popular. So I'm not favorite though, right? But I am popular. Uh, and later born offspring will have the choice, especially if unpopular. But as a game master, of course, it's your game. You can do what you want. You can impose whatever restrictions you want on your players' choosing. Uh, Something that I feel is a good way to do it if you're not going to shoehorn them into a specific type of campaign, if you're going to make it super open, roll their parents, see where they fall in the situation, and then let the player choose if they're going to follow in the footsteps or pick another career. And I would say that they should be able to choose a career within one social class, just to give them more options, more variety. So if the person's a serf, well, he can choose slave, or he could choose serf, or he can choose ungilded, classes, because you can't really get a job too far outside of your social standing. Okay, and so let's take a look at the occupations, right? We got occupations here. Along the left side, you'll see social standing, and you rolled that earlier, and we rolled and got noble. Actually, we didn't roll, I assigned. So we got noble. So now we are few, and then you look at what do you call it? Culture along the top, and we are in a feudal society, right? It's knights and barons and dukes and family, firstborn son, that kind of stuff. And so in a feudal society, you'll notice that it goes from 1 to 100 in each of the social classes. So under noble, I would roll from 1 to 100 in feudal. Go ahead and do that. And I rolled a 95. So we come down here to feudal, noble, 95. My parents were knights, or patricians, or ladies, but we're going to say knight. So right there where it says both alive, I'm going to put knight. Or, yeah. So that lets me know that my father was a knight. And then we jump all the way down here to where it says occupational skills. And if you look down here at the bottom where the nobles are at, you're going to see knight, bailiff, or just knight. So you start at age 14. That's what's kind of expected. The players and the GM can arrange some other thing if you want, but I'm going to start 14 plus the number of years of whatever career you choose. So as an example, if you had a farmer, if your father was not a farmer because that's a serf, but let's say he was a fisherman, right? No, I guess you got farmer freehold, a freehold farmer, which means a farmer that owns his own farm, not a farmer that farms for the crown. Well, you always farm for the crown, but basically this is a farmer that has to pay taxes. So he's ungilded. So, but either way, farmer, ungilded. And then if you went here and you saw the ungilded, well, a farmer, I guess, doesn't matter if you're gilded or ungilded. You've got these types of skills that you can learn: agriculture, weather lore, and animal craft. But my point is, if you stay in your parents' occupation, there is 4 years. So instead of 14, you would be 18 when you start the campaign, where like a litigant has 7 years. So if you switch from farmer to become a litigant, then I would add 7 years, because you basically were probably an apprentice to a litigant, a master litigant, someone that owned his own shop, and you worked to help him. You know, you carried books and you filed papers and stuff like that. And so you would have to spend 7 years with him because of the training process and the education and stuff like that. But if you look at litigant, you learn law, oratory, rhetoric. You also get script. That's being able to read and write. And then you also get a second language. So yeah, that's why it takes 7 years. Where if you become a laborer, that's only 1 year, but you do get intrigue 4, but you would be 15 when you start the campaign. Which in the feudal period, anything over about 12 years old is considered an adult. There's none of this minimum 18 to drink kind of BS. They would consider you to be a child, but they would also expect you to be a man. Okay, but now I'm starting to get into philosophy. So let's just talk about this character, the one I'm making. His father is a knight. He's going to also become a knight. And that's why I've already named him Knight of Caldor. So it seems appropriate. Now, it looks like it's going to be a 7-year journey for him. Military careers, like knights, have the option to re-enlist and get additional skills by spending an extra year. So instead of 7, I could choose 8, and then he would get an additional bump of skills and money. But do I want to do that? No, I'm not going to bother. So what is 14 plus 7? I think it's 21, right? So his age is going to be 21. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to scroll and we're going to look at the skills. Now, the skills are already on this character sheet, like stealth, riding, jumping, condition, climbing. These are all considered automatic skills, and every character in the game gets those. And if we scroll up a little bit, you'll see that Piety, parent occupation, character occupation, incomes. Okay, maybe it's later. Yeah, right here, assignment of skills. You get automatic skills, which they're already on your character sheet, so you don't have to worry about it. Um, but if you don't know if you have the book and you don't have it filled out on your character sheet already, the automatic skills, and this is something I kind of struggle with. The list of skills is so far down, it's crazy. Yeah, I'm scrolling. There we go. Skills. Now, this is normally a loose leaf page. That's how it's published, and it's provided to you as loose leaf pages. And you could easily take this loose leaf page and move it anywhere in your binder. And so you could, if you wanted, place it in a more convenient location. But because this is a PDF and it's pretty much already ordered, it's in a bad location. So what this is it's a list of all the skills, right? And if it's in bold letters, that means it's an automatic skill and it's already on the character sheet. If it's not in bold letters, then it's not automatic and not every character has it. Okay, enough of that. Blah, 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 blah. Now, we are not going to be making a wizard and we're not going to be making a cleric in this video. We're only going to be making a knight, which is your standard sword and board kind of warrior. Basically, your meat and potatoes kind of guy. I am going to do a future video where we talk about religion and we also talk about the variants on a character sheet where a cleric would add certain things like magic and rituals and stuff like that. And same thing with the Shek Pavar. So you'll see this Shek Pavar, those are like magical skills. Like that's a wizard, not a wizard college, but I'll get into that in the magic slash wizardry video in the future. We rolled on the parent and we got Knight Patrician, which is a really good one. And then I'm going to scroll down to actual skills that are learned. And we're going to get Knight Bailiff, right? Not Knight Bachelor. So a Knight Bachelor is a knight that has no holding. He's got no land of his own. He doesn't have any serfs or farms, or he doesn't reside over any kind of territory. But he is still a knight. Where a regular knight, bailiff, or a lady would be a knight that has holdings. A king, not a king, not well, a kingdom, yes, but maybe a barony or maybe just a little fiefdom or something. That maybe he's got a mine and a couple of farms and some cattle and he's got a little keep, on the borderlands or whatever, and that would be your knight. And that's what we're going to be creating. We're going to be creating a knight. Now, I am not my father. I am a firstborn son. So even though I am the heir, I don't own it. So, but that doesn't make me a knight bachelor because a knight bachelor has no holding. I have a holding. It's just not mine yet, if that makes sense. Okay. So he's going to get all the knight bachelor skills, which is what all the knights get. But he's also going to get Law 3 and Agriculture 2. So we come down here to the characters, and you'll see that I don't have Law and I don't have Agriculture on here. Well, Ag is a craft lore skill, and Law is a communication skill, if memory serves me right. It doesn't really matter. I could put law under combat skills if I wanted. It doesn't matter. The way this character sheet works, you can add anything and anywhere. This is just to help you keep it organized. Okay, so I get Law 3. Wait, okay. Ag right. I get Ag 2. Does that work? It does. And Law 3. Okay. So the number that's after the slash only applies, and here we go, only applies during character creation. After that, you can discard that 2 or 3. It doesn't matter. So as an alternative, what I sometimes do is put the 2 under ML, which is your mastery level. This is not the final mastery level. This is a to be determined mastery level. Okay, so let's go to Night Bachelor. Boom, Knight's Bachelor. It says go to page, or go to chapter 27, or I'm sorry, character page 27, and see what a Night Bachelor gets and add that. Okay. And see, this is character 16. So we got to go all the way down to 27. See, now this is another page that if I wanted, I could have pulled out of my binder, maybe in a sheet protector or something, to make the page last longer. And I would have these various character sheets in front of me, or character creation pages in front of me, to make character creation faster. But if you're relying strictly on the PDF, it does become a little annoying to jump back and forth. Okay, so now feudal. Okay, so, or we could choose fighting order, or imperial, or Viking, or Kuzdul, or Sindarin, just depending on my character's concept, right? So if I was an elf, I would use the Sindarin information. If I was a Kuzdul, I would use the Kuzdul dwarf information. I'm not a Viking, and I'm not imperial. There is, or there are, kingdoms in the world that would remind you of Imperial Rome. And so now feudal is what this campaign is going to be, plus his culture is feudal, as you can see right there. But within this feudal society is also fighting orders. These are groups of warriors that fight for a church, and or maybe they are maybe mercenaries, or but usually fighting orders are like the Teutonic Knights, or the Hospitallers, Templar Knights, or Teutonic Knights. That kind of stuff would be considered fighting orders. And in this world, there are a number of fighting orders that fight for various churches. Remember, there's 10 gods, and in those 10 gods, they have multiple fighting orders, and they're all different. So if your knight, or if this knight, I wanted to have him be in one of the fighting orders, I could do that. But in this case, no, he's just going to be a feudal knight. Now these are the different types of feudal military careers, and then this number right here is kind of a wargaming term. It's a term that you could use if you were building an army to play out, or to do some mass combat on the tabletop, to determine if if you wanted to play it out like that. And so we're looking at longbow foot, light foot, medium foot, short bow, long bow. Okay, and then down here you got horse, medium horse, and heavy horse. As a knight, I'm going to fall into one of these two categories. Do I want to be part of medium horse, or would I think I would be part of heavy horse? If you look at these skills, the only difference between the two skills is, I think it's axe, right? No, they both got hand axe. Oh, we got knight shield versus kite shield. Those are the only differences. So you basically would make a decision. Do I want to have a kite shield, which is kind of what he's pictured as having, right? He's got a kite shield. A knight shield would be just your standard heater type shield, where a kite shield is the one that has a really long point at the bottom, a teardrop. So I'm going to say he's got a kite shield. So with the kite shield, he would have been heavy horse. What does it matter? It doesn't really matter. Okay, so now I'm going to start marking these skills down. Riding 6. So I come over here and put a little 6 there. Boom. And then initiative 6. Notice how I'm putting it in the ML. This is only temporary, but just to make it easy. Lance 6. You don't see a lance on here because that's not an automatic skill. So, where'd it go? Add lance. And then I'll put a 6 because I got lance 6. And then bastard sword, which if you see over here, if it's in italics, like lance, bastard sword, hand axe, dagger, those are all specialties. And because the skill is actually called sword, right? But because he's got a specialty, I'm just going to put bastard sword. If he's not using a bastard sword, if he's using a regular, broadsword or what have you, then the skill in bastard sword would not go up. The skill in broadsword would go up, or just regular sword would go up, unless he decided to specialize in it. Okay. And hand axe is part of the axe skill. Same thing, it's a specialty. But I'm putting in all the specialties right now. Oh, no, it shouldn't be 6, it should be 5. There we go, I clicked on the wrong button. And then dagger 5. No, dagger is not on there as well. Okay. Dagger 5. And then kite shield 6 and dancing 3. I think dancing is a physical skill, I think. I'm just going to go ahead and do dancing 3. But the last one was kite shield, right? Which is, I consider to be a combat skill. So kite shield was pretty good at it, right? 6. Oh, no, I'm in the wrong spot. Okay, feudal, kite, 6. Yeah, it's still 6. Okay, so we got all the class specific skills, but if you look up here where it says all military, you get these skills as well. Now, because he has an initiative of 6, that overwrites this thing here that says initiative 5. You don't mark it as initiative 11. It's just initiative 6. You just take the better of the two. But he also has foraging. And I think that is a craft skill. And if not, I'm putting it here anyway. And I'm just going to put forage. And he gets a 4. That's pretty good. Survival. I'm going to put that down here as well. Now, survival and forage do overlap. They both have a lot of the same skills. Okay, heraldry would be communications, I believe. If not, I'm giving it to him. The reason why, as a warrior, you need to know heraldry is because there are uniforms, but there's also nobles, and the nobles don't wear the uniform. The units will wear the colors of their lord of their noble, and if you don't know which nobles are which, you might attack the wrong unit, or you might get surprised by a unit that you thought was friendly and is actually enemy. Okay, physician is definitely a craft lore. Now that's going to help when you're trying to bind up your wounds. And then the last thing is weapon craft. That's going to be craft as well. Okay. Now, weapon craft is fixing a broken bow or an arrow, or your sword hilt falls off and you got to put it back on. That's weapon craft. There's probably a skill called armor craft. I think there is. Blacksmithing is something a little bit different as well. Okay, so we've already assigned all the skills. That's great. Okay, now let's just ignore whatever else is on here and go back to assigning skills. Okay, here we are. Now, because I took the actual my father's occupation, there's no additional skills that I learned because I learned pretty much the exact same skills that he had. Okay, so we got our automatic skills. We have our occupational skills. The family skills, if you have different occupations, you get. Now it says characters who are following the family occupation add 1 SB to each occupation skill. So that basically means that you would get an extra number, like where it says Bastard Sword 6, because I'm following in my father's footsteps, I should have Bastard Sword 7. But I'm not going to play it that way. That's not the way I'm going to run the game. Okay, we just did the occupational skills. Now, at the end of choosing your occupational skills, you get, all characters get 5 points to open new skills or improve existing skills. So if I want to have a skill that's not listed, I spend 1 OP and I get it at SB1. SB is your skill base, and the mastery level is how many times you multiply the skill base to get your actual ML, your OML, which is your opening mastery level. And so new skills, they open at a reasonable OML. So basically, you get it for whatever the skill says its OML should be. But if you want to improve a skill you already have, you spend a point and add its level. Okay, but I can see now that I do not have awareness at all. So I definitely want to get awareness. Okay, I'm going to go back to the list of skills. It's so far down. There you go. So I come over here and I find awareness. I see awareness is okay. Let me back up. Let me do this first. Let me go through my automatic skills and mark them first, and then I'll make the decisions if I want to raise anything or not. Okay, so unarmed is a combat skill, and you can see initiative and unarmed both are at 4, but because I am a knight, I already have a bonus to my initiative. So this one is going to be 4. Dodge is always 5 times your see, I have to jump. This is another thing. I got to jump all the way down to combat. To find out what your dodge, right here, dodge. And see, this is hidden. This should be on this skill list, but it says dodge is equal to your agility times 5. So what I plan to do is just put a 5 there. Okay, it's just that's the way it should be listed on the skill sheet, in my opinion. Okay, so what else do I have that doesn't have a mastery level number? Climbing. Climbing is 4. And we're going to come back to this this page in the future. Jumping is a 4. Almost everything is a 4. Stealth is a 3. And these are what's called the opening mastery level. Throwing is a 4. Awareness is a 4. See, I was afraid I didn't have any awareness, but it's a basic skill. Everybody gets it. So I shouldn't be too worried about it. Oratory. Rhetoric. Oratory is the ability to voice your opinion to a large crowd. Rhetoric is to influence or intimidate an individual. So you can think of rhetoric in D&D terms as persuasion or intimidation, where oratory is kind of like you're talking to a big crowd. Singing, 3. Okay. And there are no religion skills that are automatic. I just put that on there. There are no combat skills that are automatic other than your initiative and unarmed punching and kicking and wrestling. Lore skills. There are no lore skills that are automatic. And of course, there's not going to be any Shekbar magic skills. That wouldn't be normal. Okay, so now I decide what am I going to do with my 5 skill levels. If I decide to choose the optional skills, okay, you get 5 optional skills. You can, if you choose a skill that you already have, the ones on this page here, then 1 point will raise 1 level. But if you want to raise it by 2 points, then it would cost 3, because you have to pay 1 for the first and 2 for the second, making it 3. And then there's veterans and stuff that get additional points, but everybody gets 5. And I think that's more than enough for any character. So let's take I want to make my shield work very good. So I'm going to make it a 7. That's pretty good. Shield work is going to be very good. I can also pick skills that I don't have here. So that's why you need that skill sheet. I just wish it was in a different position. What I might have to do is take a picture of this and put it in my list of additional handouts that people can just open and have available ready to go. There is something right here called script. I want to be able to read and write. So I'm going to put lacays or something like that, I think is what it's called. I'm going to my handouts, languages and scripts. Okay, we're in modern. These three right here in italics are scripts. They're the ones that you can read and write. So you're looking at basically Harnic humans, dwarves, and elves. Okay, I almost got it right. Lek Is. It's ISE. Okay, so I'm going to learn how to read and write. That's going to be 1 point to open it as a new skill. Oh, that's the page I'm on right here. Okay, and so script opens up at 70 plus SB. So I'm just going to put 70 in there as a reminder. Okay, that's one. Nope, two, because I put one in shield. Are there any other skills that I... Okay, Lovecraft. I gotta have Lovecraft. So we're gonna go... I'm gonna spend my fourth... Right, wait. Lakeys, shield, Lovecraft. Right, I'm gonna go Lovecraft, which will give me 3 in Lovecraft. Okay, great. And then I'm going to take my 4th point and actually put it in the religion of Lorani. So that's SB times 1. So that's interesting. And then if I wanted to weather lore, tracking might be cool. Runecraft, mining, mathematics, jewelcraft. I could improve my heraldry. I think I am. I think I'm going to improve heraldry because I think that falls in with being a firstborn son. Okay, so we got all of our mastery levels. Now here comes the math. I got my calculator ready to go. And this is the part that I dread. This is the more complicated part of this character creation. You notice here under attributes, you've got 3 attributes. And we'll use climbing as an example. Climbing is strength, dex, and agility added together, and then you divide by 3, right? So you get the average of your strength, dex, and agility. And if I come up here, strength, dex, and agility, I see 22 plus 8 looks like 30, right? Pretty easy. 30 divided by 3 is 10. So actually, that one was not hard at all. What did I say? That was climbing? Okay. So I put a 10 right there. That is my skill base. It's based on your attributes. Now, this is something that I think maybe should be color coded or maybe categorized in a different way, but I wish this was not, I wish it was sorted by which ability trios were the same. Then I could do the math once and put a 10 in all the skills that have the same strength, dex, and agility. So what I'm going to do now is look to see if there's anything else that has strength, dex, and agility. Well, skiing does. Okay, well, I know I don't have that skill. Any others that have strength? Okay, right here, unarmed is strength, dex, and agility. So I'll come over here and put a 10. Any others that have strength, dex, and agility? I know I don't have very many lores, but here we go. Strength, dex, seamanship. Guess what? I don't have seamanship. Timbercrop, don't have that. If those few skills were listed together as these are all the skills with strength, dex, and agility, it would be so much easier to figure out. Okay, now we will talk about the sun sign modifiers once I get all of my math done. Okay, so let's look at initiative. Initiative should be agility, will, and will, right? So agility, 11. So we're looking at 31, right? Because it's will twice and agility once. So 20 plus 11, 31. If I round that off, okay, it's going to be 0.3, I do believe. So divide by 3. So I've got a 10.3. That is not rounded up like in some games. It's also not rounded down. It is rounded off. So if it's 0.5 or better, you round it up. And if it's anything under 0.5, you round down. Right? So I've got a 10. Now, I saw someone else online making a character and he rounded it up. So I'm going to double check just to make sure I'm not doing it wrong. Right? So skill base, that's what we're looking at. Skill base represents character's natural affinity. The skill base is skill open. The skill data table, common attributes, determine the skill base. The attributes are average round fraction to the nearest whole number. Like I said, it's rounded off. It's not up or down. It's just in the correct direction, right? So 0.333 is 10. Okay, so I thought I was doing it right. Just double check. Okay, so we just looked at initiative, which is kind of a unique one, which is agility, will. Let's see, are there any other that are agility, will? I don't think so. I don't think there's any other ones that are agility, will. So this should tell you just by, just with this skill, yep, that's the only one, that will is more important to your initiative than agility, right? Your hand-eye coordination is dexterity. That has nothing to do with initiative. It's the ability to move your body rapidly. That's agility. But that's not, that's only one third of the, that's only one third of the skill base. 2/3 of it is your willpower. So it's actually more important to have will if you want to have a high initiative. Okay, but either way, my character has a 10. Okay, moving on to the next skill, dodge. We already know it's 5 times agility, right? So what's my agility? 11. So I'm going to put an 11 in there. And I'm going to put because I already know what the result is, I'm just going to put a 55 right there. Okay. No, I'm not. I'm going to leave that. Oh, whatever. It's too late. I've already done. Okay, so what others? We've got lance, right? Lance is considered a polearm because you see it's lance is a specialty of polearm. So we'll go to polearm. It's strength, strength, and dex. So if I was to do some math up here, I have 2 11s and an 8. And I think we've already figured that out. That's 22 plus 8 is 30. That's going to be a 10. Okay, looking at my other abilities, strength, strength, and dex. Is there anything that is strength, strength, and dex other than combat abilities? All right, so I got all of the stats filled out. I got all the SBs filled in, which is the skill base. And I put Lorani down here. Okay, I learned that skill. I should probably do that one. Okay, that's a ritual. Hold on. Lorani is voice, intelligence, and will. So let's do that real quick. Voice 12 plus intelligence of 12 plus will of 10 is 34, which quick math tells me that's 11. Okay, so we got those filled out. Now, before I go any further with multiplications, we need to look at our sun sign. And you can see that our sun sign is Ulandis, right? So we come through here and we find Ulandis on any of these skills. It might or might not impact any of these skills. Ulandis might be the neutrality one. Okay, here's one. If I was worshiping peony, or whatever it's called, I would get a +1. Or Ilver, I'd get a +1. Ulandis. Or Steam, I get a +1. Unarmed, I get a +2. So if you go here to unarmed, the SB is actually added by 2, so it becomes a 12. It adds directly to the skill bonus, right? Or the skill base, I should say. Ooh, okay, writing gets a +1, so that becomes an 11. Okay, continuing on, Ulandis. Looks like club, but I'm not using clubs. Ulandis. Looks like a shield gets a +1. That's good. So that becomes a 10. So that my sun sign actually counteracted my my ineptitude. If I was to use a spear, I would get a plus, but I'm not using a spear. So it looks like this sun sign's really good with ranged weapons. Okay, agriculture does get a +2. That's good. So I'm good with farmers. Continuing on, Ulandis. Looks like ceramics, embalming, engineering, foraging. I think I have that one. So that's a +2. Bringing it up to 13. Herb lore would get a +3. That's crazy. Hide work. Mining, milling. Survival gets a +2. That's good. Okay, where's survival? Where am I at? There we go. And then textile craft, timber craft, tracking would all get pluses. and woodcraft would get a plus. Okay, so I've got all my sun signs added in. Perfect. Now, to get your opening mastery level, which is basically your initial mastery level, or the mastery level that you will have when you start the game, because as you level up a skill, it adds to the mastery level. So that number will gradually go up, possibly down, depending on how it works. But basically, we already know, let's take climbing as an example. Climbing had a SB times 4, so 4 times 10 is 40. Pretty simple. Luckily, a lot of mine are 10s, so their condition is a 50. Stealth is a 30. I'm doing the easy math real quick. Dancing is a 30. I could take throwing, and that 11 would make it a 44, a 66, a 44. These are all like easy math because 33, 20. So let me do all the math and I'll be right back. All right, now I've got some others that are a little bit more complicated math, like a 13 times 4. I mean, you could figure it out. It's probably 72 or some crazy number. So 13 times 4, 52. And that's why I got the calculator, because I'm lazy. 4 times 12 is 48, right? 2 times 12 is 24. 4 times 12 is 48. Okay, and another one, 6 times 9, you're looking at 54. I think I've done the, and I took this Laquise, and it's your skill base plus 70, so I just put an 80 in there. Okay, so those are all filled out. Okay, so now when you're rolling a skill, right, let's get the chat up here. So if I roll a skill, let's say a stealth roll, there's this little button right here beside the character sheet. I would roll, and it's rolling percentile dice to get less than your ML. So if I click it, it'll ask me, is there any modifiers? Like, as a DM, I would tell you, you get a plus because it's nighttime, or you get a minus because it's got a creaky floor, or something like that. But we'll go with no minuses or no pluses. Boom. And so the mastery level was 30. There was no penalty and no modifier. Now there's no penalty because I haven't added any equipment to the character yet, because injuries cause penalties and encumbrance causes penalties, and that's why you see a penalty of 0 right there, because there's no encumbrance, right? So the modifiers are 0. So my target number would be 30. It just basically lists it out easy. And I rolled a 100. Can you believe that? I rolled a 100. So that's a critical failure. Basically, any failure so a 31 or a 32 would be a failure, right? But any failure that ends in a 0 or a 5 is a critical failure. So if I rolled a 99, that's not a critical failure. That's just a marginal failure. But if I rolled a 30, that would be critical success because it ends in a 0. Okay, so we've got our skills added in, and that is the most time-consuming part of creating a Harn character. Now that we've got that set, I'm going to end the video here. And in the next video, what we're going to do is I'm going to assign some armor and weapons to this character. So you'll see how the armor and weapons impact his encumbrance, and then maybe I will I'm probably not going to give him like a pack full of gear and stuff like that, because that would be left at his horse, or if he was dismounted, or it would be his squire would be carrying it and stuff like that. So I'm basically just going to give him his weapons and armor. Okay, but we're going to do that in the next video. And oh, before we go, you'll see that there are some combat stats right here. And these combat stats are automatically generated based on your stats up here and whatever skill level you mark it as. Because this guy's got a dodge of 55 right here, and this is where you would roll a dodge, right? So it would tell you I had a target number of 55, right? But I failed in my dodge. But because I rolled a 79, it's not a critical failure. It's just a marginal failure, as I just discussed a second ago. But it is still a failure, right? But it's marginal. And usually there are 4 levels of success or failure. There's critical success, marginal failure, or critical failure. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go over the equipment, the weapons and armor in the next video, just to kind of show you a little bit about how you would add that to your character. And I'll catch you in the next one.